Okay everyone, hello, welcome back. This is so exciting. I'm so excited I can't even begin to tell you. Today, as you can see by the title, I am doing a first impressions of the Sydney Grace and Temptalia collaboration. I have all three palettes, which I'm not gonna lie to you, was not a cheap purchase, okay? I am glad that I have them. I had anticipated buying them, so it was like kind of an expected cost that I was choosing to pay. But yeah, it was not cheap. Although I will say, so I ended up paying, I got all three. I ended up paying 85 USD for all three, which I think is a very good price considering each individual palette is $40. So I feel like that's a really, honestly, reasonable, especially if your dollar is American, like your currency, you're American, or if your dollar is strong, unlike the Canadian dollar. I also got two of these singles. Well, I got the Dear Reader single, which was the other, like, it was a single shadow that Temptalia did in collaboration with Sydney Grace. I also got the single shadow, The Greatest Gift, initially when I made my order, because everyone talks about this shade and I was like, well, I'm making this order, let me just throw this in. But then, so let me just talk about like shipping and stuff now, especially as an international, I mean, I'm in Canada, but I still am an international, like, customer. I'll leave timestamps, hopefully, in, like, a pinned comment or something, so if you don't give a shit about this, then just skip. But, so, one thing that I will say is that, so initially when I made this order, shipping was $37 USD. And poor decision making, I just, like, I was like, I want to get this, so I just ended up, like, I put my order through. But then they did an update on Instagram, which I didn't realize, like, prior to, like, when I was actually making my order, that they, like, estimate, I guess, like, your shipping at first when you first make your order, and then if it's not actually going to be that much based on, like, where you are, then you get refunded a certain amount. So I actually got refunded $17. So my shipping was going to be $20. So definitely better than $37, that's for sure. Like a pretty significant decrease in price, but that's definitely something that I think would make a lot of people perhaps not buy from them if you just saw like $37 for shipping initially. And I had no idea. I don't know if this is like how Sydney Grace typically does things. Like, this is the first time I've ever ordered from the brand. So that's, I think, something that's very helpful to know, to be honest, because if I had my wits about myself and was using my brain, that probably would have been something that I shouldn't have gone through with, because $37, I mean, it's going to be personal, but $37 is a lot for shipping. But I just anticipated getting having a high shipping thing in general. So anyway, but also on this Instagram update, they said that if you buy all three palettes plus the single, that's like the first shipping tier, right? Like the Dear Reader single. So if you add anything else other than the three palettes and that single, you're going to be bumped up to the next shipping tier. And so I was like, oh, okay, maybe that is why my order was more expensive, because I was like bumped up to the second shipping tier because I got this Greatest Gift. So I messaged their customer service and I was like, hey, like, I saw this Instagram update. I would really appreciate it if at all possible, like, just take the Greatest Gift out of my order so I can be bumped down to the lower shipping tier. Like, one shadow is not worth paying that much more in shipping. Even though I was kind of confused, like, why is one extra single shadow making a difference in terms of shipping, but whatever, that's their policy. And so they said, okay, sure, we'll refund you, and they did refund me, but they sent it. I have it in this order, which is, I'm not complaining about that, but I I'm happy about that accident. And but in terms of like customer service and stuff, they were super, super great, and it came really fast. Like honestly, faster than most packages get to me, so that was also a nice surprise. I'm so excited about this. Like honestly, I'm so excited to finally try Sydney Grace. So let's just swatch the palettes. Again, I'll have timestamps, so if you don't want to see me like live swatching them and just like go ahead to the first impressions, that's fine, whatever, but I'm going to swatch them all because I love to do that. So I don't think, you guys have already seen this. Let me see if I can do this. Hold on. Oh, this, Laura, this could be a disaster. Maybe this is not a good idea. Anyway, it makes a picture. It's supposed to make a picture. And I actually think that all three of the artworks on the palette stand alone. I thought that the top one that's supposed to be the sky was going to be like the most, how do I say this? Like the one that looked the most like it was cut off of an actual full image, but I actually think this ended up being my favorite artwork, if you can see that without the glare of my ring light. And I got all three of the palettes in deep because if you've watched me before, you know that my number one gripe about any eyeshadow palette ever is usually that it's not deep enough. I love to have deep eyeshadow, and I feel like palettes never have all the depth that I need, so I was like, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm getting deep versions of all three just because that's my general eyeshadow preference. I'm not going to go on about this. Let's just swatch them. So this is the first palette. This is Quintessence, I believe. Oh yeah, it has the little name on here. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see the swatches up close and personal. This is what the palette looks like. Absolutely beautiful. No shadows were harmed in the transportation to me. I think this might be my favorite color story, but we'll have to see. I haven't even swatched these yet. I'm so amped for this. And so yeah, let's just get into it, I guess. I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah. If you go on Temptalia's blog, oh yeah, I haven't even met, oh my god, I'm the worst. If you don't know, which I'm sure you do know, I'm not the first to do first impressions or review of this. Temptalia is the beauty blogger, reviewer of the internet, okay? I've been following Temptalia since I was like, since she's had her blog, like since I was into makeup. She's like any eyeshadow palette that I ever wanted or that came out, I would like stalk her website and just go like read every single word and go through every single swatch and like see her ratings. I feel like she has like probably the only truly objective person reviewing makeup, which I think is a feat. I don't think objectivity in terms of makeup reviewing is important personally in a lot of ways, but she has like, I feel like truly objective reviews. Anyway, that is all to say that she has really detailed descriptions of all of the palettes, inspiration, color descriptions. If you want to know that, go read her blog. I'll leave a link down below. Should I use her shade descriptions? Yeah. Am I going to? No. I'm gonna just explain how I see them, because I feel like that's part of it too. Okay, anyway. And she has like explanations for her inspiration behind the shades, her like I don't know, you know, like all that shit. But yeah, so let's just swatch it. So the first shade from the first palette, the Quintessence palette, this is a matte black. It's the shade Umbra. Ooh, that's a pretty black. That is pretty smooth and creamy. Then we have the shade Orion Nebula, which is a, I guess, This is like more like a satin to me, a satin cranberry shade. It feels very smooth. And then we have the shade Aurora, which I'm very excited for. This is like a bluey purple shade. Like a periwinkle metallic shade. That's so pretty. Then we have the shade Borealis. This definitely feels more glittery too. This is a metallic green with like gold glitter in it. That's so pretty. Then we have the shade Galactic Muse, which is another metallic green, more on the teal side. That's swatched absolutely beautifully. Then we have the shade Interstellar. This is a matte, like dark teal. That's how I would describe it. Ooh, that's beautiful. I love the depth that's going on here in this shade. And I believe the only differences between the light and the deep palettes are the mattes. Then we have the shade Celestial Bloom, which is another, it's like a bluey purple shade. It definitely looks more purple when I swatch it. It's like a deep purple with almost like a blue shine to it. Then we have the Milky Way, which is like a purple with a green shift. That's so pretty. Oh my god. That's stunning. And then we have another matte. This is the shade Reaching Zenith. This is like a matte, like gray blue. That's super nice. Also love the depth in that. Then we have the shade Parallax, which is like a matte taupe. Yeah, it like literally is just a matte taupe. Very nice. Then we have the shade Sirius Starlight, which is a very shiny, like metallic taupey silver shade. Super bright. And then the last shade in this palette is the shade My Constellation. This is a metallic, smoky purple, purpley taupey shade. That's really beautiful. I love this color story. I love the greens and the purples and the blues. Although I feel like this leans more purple than it does blue to me. Okay, so this video is not 1,000 years long. Let's just move right on into the second palette. So this is the second palette. This is the On the Horizon palette. This is the one with her little dog that passed away. I believe his name was Magellan. And he's on the front of this. I just love the color stories of these palettes and the like artwork. I think it's so beautiful. All right, so now, let me I don't know, perhaps show you the color story of this palette. This is a little bit, people say it's more neutral, but you do have like a green and a dark blue, which I'm not mad at, but I know greens and blues aren't gonna be neutral for everyone. But I guess like general, they're more earthy tones as opposed to this, which is like greens and purples. So we have the first shade in this palette, which is the shade Heart Dog. This is, should I swatch this on my other arm so you can see? Well, we'll make it work. This is a metallic, but not quite sparkly, as sparkly, like taupey, another taupey shade. More taupe. This one from, I think this is Sirius Starlight, looks more silver in comparison. This is like almost a true metallic taupe. Then we have the shade Earthbound. This is a metallic green with a beautiful shine to it. And then we have a matte. This is the shade Desert Spoon. This is like a matte foresty, like mossy green. That's so pretty. I love greens that are this tone. All right, then we have a metallic. This is the shade Magellan's Light. This is beautiful. A beautiful like coppery shade. Super smooth and super reflective. That's so pretty. There's like a lot of sparkle in there too. It's like a peachy copper with a gold shine. And then we have the shade Phoenix Awakens. This is like a true copper that's super pretty as well. Then we have the shade October Odyssey, which is a matte. It's a dark brown with like a plum undertone. Let me see if I can fit all this on my arm. I wonder. We'll see. Then we have the shade Midnight Courage. This is a dark matte blue. That's so pretty. Then we have the shade Flying High. This is a dark, like smoky metallic blue. And then we have the shade Lunar Illumination. Let me see. Let me put this here. Oh, this is not the best swatch, but I kind of want to have the palette all together. You could see that. It's right here. It's this like beautiful purple shade with almost like a silver shift to it. You can see that. Okay. Then the last three shades, we have the shade Infinite Echoes. This is a matte brown. But in comparison, you can see right here, this is a lot more plum, and this is like a true like neutral brown. Then we have the shade Sakura Glow. Which is another like metallic cranberry, but leans more purple, whereas this is more like pinky red, the one up here. And then last one in this palette is the shade Calming Presence, and this is like a really dark metallic, like purpley blue, but this definitely is more blue. You can see this is like a midnight blue in comparison to this guy up here, which is definitely a lot more purple. So this section here is the On the Horizon palette. No, Reflection On the Horizon. Yes, it is On the Horizon. Oh my god. So yeah, a lot more, I wouldn't say neutral per se, I would say more earthy tones, because to me this doesn't, you can definitely get more neutral looks, but as a whole we still have some color in there, which could be good or bad depending on who you ask. And then last but not least, I am gonna do this on the other arm, don't you guys worry. This is the Radiant Reflection palette. So this is really beautiful. This is like a jewel toned rainbow. Love it. Okay, I said that like a mom. So the first shade we have is Unstoppable Love. This is a matte plum. That's so nice. I love the depth in that. Then we have the shade Opera Rose, which is another metallic cranberry shade. I wonder if you can see. Pretty similar to the one that I just swatched from the On the Horizon palette, but also similar to the one in the first palette. This is, yeah, it's pretty similar. It's maybe a bit more red than the one in the first palette and more pinky, less purple than the one in the On the Horizon palette. And then we have the Temptalia shade, which is a beautiful like mid-toned purple with a like silvery shine. That's really pretty. Then we have the shade Forget Her Not, which is another deep metallic blue. I guess she really loves these shades. It's a little bit less shiny than the one from the On the Horizon palette. This is a lot more reflective. This is more of like a satin navy blue, I would say. Then we have the shade Our Starry Night, which looks super sparkly. So this is definitely a brighter blue with a lot of like silver sparkle. That's super reflective. Then we have the shade Gloss Over. Another blue, a lighter blue than the other two, less metallic than Our Starry Night. That's pretty as well. I definitely prefer the more sparkly shades, but it's kind of nice also to have different textures. Then we have the shade Sumptuous Serendipity, which is a like plum, I would say, with purple sparkles in it. This is very like clearly has sparkles. Then we have the shade Phosphines, which is another like metallic taupey shade, but deeper and more brown than the other ones that I've swatched. Then we have the shade Dearest Constant. This is a matte orange. A matte burnt orange. Then we have the last three shades. This is Exquisite Opulence. I love the names and these are really fun. This is like, it looks like it was going to be just a true gold, but there's definitely like an orangey element to this shade. And then we have the shade Jealousy's Descent. I think this is my favorite name of all of them. This is a metallic, ooh, that's so pretty. A metallic, like, I was gonna say amethyst, that's purple, emerald green. And then the last shade in the palettes is the shade Sublime Reverie. This is a dark teal matte. How is this different? This is just a lot, it's a little bit more brighter, a little bit more green, more teal. The other teal is a little bit more like muted in terms of tone. This is a little bit brighter. Overall, I think they're really beautiful color stories. So this is the Radiant Reflection palette, right? Yes. Really beautiful, very jewel toned, and like truly like almost a jewel toned rainbow. I think that's a pretty accurate description of it. Overall, we definitely have a lot of similar shades from across all three palettes. A lot of cranberries, a lot of purpley blues, and a lot of like taupes, I would say. I like them all, I'm not gonna lie, and I knew I was gonna get all three. I think you could easily make a decision in terms of which you would prefer though, because it is a lot of money to get all three, and they are similar. I don't think they're like widely different color stories, to be honest. And then let's just watch the last two singles, or the two singles that I have. So this is the shade Dear Reader. This is the shade that is in collaboration with Temptalia. And this is a like pretty much just a really pretty metallic lavender purple shade. So let's give this a swatchy swatch. Let's do this right down here. Ooh, that's super reflective. That is beautiful. And then we have, this is the Greatest Gift, which is, I feel like Sydney Grace's like most iconic shade. Everyone always talks about how amazing this shade is. I'm so happy that I ended up getting this in my order. What a happy accident. So this is like a really strong duochrome from a purple to a green. Definitely not as shiny as Dear Reader, but the shift is super strong, super similar to this shade from the, what is this? Quintessence palette. Let me just give this a swatch right beside that actually. So this is the, oops, of course I bumped it. Yeah. This is honestly a more reflective version of the Greatest Gift, to be honest. They're super similar. Okay, so I'm going to clean up my arms and then let's do a little first impression. Okay, so I've decided for this, I think I'm going to use the Quintessence palette. It's just the one that's calling to me. I feel like I've seen so many people use this, but don't be mean because I just want to use this one, okay? But actually, because I got the deep version, I am just going to pull in a lighter color, just for a transition shade, just so things blend a little bit better. If you don't want to do this, don't do this. This is just what I feel like I want to do, okay? And pulling in lighter transition shades for me really doesn't bother me at all. So I'm just going to use the shade Bossa Nova from the Kaleidos Escape Pod palette. And I'm just going to throw this in my crease as a transition shade. And I'll be back because this is not the point of the video. So, okay, so that's just for my crease. It's just a neutral, like, brown because I'm going to go into the shade Parallax first, which is this taupey shade. I'm so excited, you guys. I have heard so many amazing things about City Grace's quality, and now is finally my time to shine. And I'm just going to do a pretty simple look. I'm just trying to try this out. So I'm just going to put this through my outer corner and my crease. I really like the tone of this. I don't have very many like true neutral like browns or taupes, so this is a good one to add to my collection for sure. Oh, and I think also that you can remove these pans from the palettes if you have a magnetic pen, which I actually tried to like look up online and I couldn't find, just out of curiosity. So if anyone knows like how you get a magnetic pen, please let me know, because I'm just curious. I don't see myself taking these out. I also don't have a magnetic pen to do that, but I generally keep my palettes intact. I'm not a big depotter, but I know lots of people are, so you can do that. So far, so good. I mean, it's building, it's blending. I have no complaints thus far. I mean, I've only used one shade, so it's not getting patchy. It's nice. Okay, so what am I gonna do? I actually think I'm gonna go into the shade Reaching Zenith now, which is this like grayish blue. And I'm just going to use this to deepen my crease up and see how this goes. And I do think that all of the color stories work together really well. Like I was looking through the palettes, and I didn't really feel like I was needing to like, oh, I need this shade from this palette to like feel like I'm completing this look. Like I think they work together really well, which makes sense because I feel like you expect good things from someone who reviews makeup for a living. And I'm really happy that I was able to get the deep versions of all of these. Okay, now that I've really built that up, I'm just going to blend it out with the brush that I used the shade Parallax on. I feel like this almost looks like a dark gray when it's built up and applied to the eyes with this Parallax shade. Again, really smooth, like blends and builds really nicely. I've heard like so many good things about Sunny Grace that I'm kind of just like trying to really see how the formula performs. Because I feel like as soon as something gets super hyped, I side-eye it a little bit. But so far so good. Okie doke, so I've been just going back and forth, but I'm going to now take the shade Celestial Bloom, which is this really beautiful dark blue purple. I think I'm gonna take it for now just on the like middle of my lid and then see how I feel. I'm going to spray this with water just because I always spray my shimmers with water, so I feel like it's only fair. And I'm not going to judge it too harshly because I know that this brush isn't the best at picking shimmers up. So, okay, so that is such a beautiful blue shade. I can't even tell you. And now I'm going to just wipe my brush off and I'm going to go into the shade Aurora on the inner part of my eye. I'm going to spray that as well. This is a little bit less sparkly compared to the shade that's Celestial Bloom. And then I'm just going to go back and forth with them on either side of the brush, these shades, and just blend them together. Now I'm just going to take, where's my brush? I'm going to take Parallax. I'm going to blend that onto my lid just to make sure everything's blended together. And I'm also just going to take it towards the front of my brow, or like my eye rather, I guess. And then with a little bit of the shade Reaching Zenith, I'm just going to use this to blend the shimmers out a little bit and just maintain the depth in the front part of my eye. And then I'm just going to intensify these shimmer shades using my fingers. So this is Celestial Bloom and this is Aurora. They just get so much more intense, especially that Aurora shade. I love the shine on these. I'm just gonna deepen my outer corner with Reaching Zenith again, or yeah. And I'm just gonna take the shade Bossa Nova from the Escape Pod palette from Kaleidos and just run this over the edge of my shadow just so that everything is really nicely blended. And then I'm going to just take the shade Lo-Fi from the Kaleidos palette and use that to highlight my brow bone. I'm just so into a monochromatic look, so I'm just going to use all of the same shades that I used on my upper, like on my lid, on my lower lash line. I just think it's gonna look really nice. So I'm just taking Parallax and I'm just putting this all along my lower lash line. Then I'm going to take a little brush and use the shade Reaching Zenith and use this to deepen everything up and connect it to my lid. And then I'm just going to blend everything out using the Bossa Nova shade once again from the Kaleidos palette. I just love this. I think it's so nice. I love how like cool toned and like dusty it is. So nice. Okay, so I'm just going to take now the shade Galactic Muse, which is this really beautiful like metallic tealy shade. Oh, no, I take it back. I'm gonna take the shade My Constellation. Yeah. I'm just gonna wipe the brush that I used for the lid shades off, and I'm just gonna take this. I think this is gonna look nice. I don't know. I'm kind of into it. I'm just gonna give that a little bit of a spray to give it its full impact and put this right on my lower lash line, like right on the inner part of my lower lash line. Actually, I might just use my pinky for this. Yeah, this is the way. Okay, and then for my inner corner, I'm gonna take the shade Sirius Starlight, which is this really beautiful silvery shade. I'm gonna go in with this dry first and just see how she goes. Oh yeah, that's nice. Maybe I'll intensify this with my pinky too. Noise. Okay, so I'm just going to hop off camera, finish up the rest of my face and my eyes, and then be back. Okay, so this is the finished look. On my lips, I just used my go-to nude, which is the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in 506 Endless Cacao, and the ColourPop lipstick in Butter. So overall, love these, a lot. I had a ton of fun using these. I'm so looking forward to playing with these more. I can't even begin to tell you. I love this look. I'm sad that I wish I was wearing it somewhere, but I'm not. And I was really happily, like, very pleased with the formula. Mattes, easy to blend, they didn't get patchy, you could build them on each other, like no problems at all. And the shimmers are really beautiful as well. They're not like super sparkly and like really glittery and shimmery, but they're really beautiful metallics, and they don't emphasize my lid texture like at all, which is good. It's good. You have a lot of different like finishes in here. You have like shimmers, more really like sparkly shiny shimmers, more satins, which I think is good. You get variety. And I already had shared my thoughts on the color stories. Similar, you could probably pick one, but I don't think they're similar enough that you could probably pick one and get the vibes of them all, but they're different enough, I think, that you also aren't going to get like the same looks over and over and over. So, I mean, it's just based on personal preference, budget, all that shit. So let me know if you want me to do a, like 3 looks, 1 palette with all 3 of these, because I definitely can. I don't know if that's going to be like in demand or not, but like if you're new here, I kind of really push against the notion that makeup is like old after a month. So I think I'll probably just end up doing it, although I'm working on something right now, so I don't know when that will be. Let me know what you guys think of this collection. I think it's been really interesting to hear everyone's different opinions on it, because I feel like there's been mixed thoughts. And if you picked it up, have you tried Sydney Grace before? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!